Welcome, guys. Welcome back to another episode of AMS, Angel Martinez Show. And I have a special guest with me. His name is Matt motherfucking Taven. You already know the trend himself is here in the studio. And we are powered by Real Music and Films. So check out Real Music and Films for real quality music and real quality films if you're looking for videos or anything like that. But let's get back to my guest, Matt Taven. Last night was insane. All right, this is the first wrestling show I've ever been to, and I was so pumped. I mean, it was something else. I seen tag teaming, and I seen women wrestling. That my girl was excited about that too.
Yeah.
Like to really see women wrestle.
Yeah.
And she loved that. You know what I mean? She was rooting for some of the women there. But it was something else, man. Tell me a little bit about how you got into wrestling. What really?
You wrestling?
Oh my God! I knew he was gonna bring it up.
Wrestling. I mean, I loved so. Oh my God, I loved wrestling since I was like 6 years old. I can remember my dad's uncle came to stay with us one time when I was like 5, 6 years old. He put on the television because he was a wrestling fan. And I saw like the Ultimate Warrior and the Macho Man for the first time.
Savage and all that.
Yeah, and I'm a kid, so I'm like into Ninja Turtles, and then all of a sudden, and into like Thundercats and all these like, you know, cartoons, and then all of a sudden I see like wrestling is real life cartoons. You know what I mean? Like the action that I was seeing from all these things I was into as a kid, I was like, oh, well, this is like a real person that's kind of has that same feeling as everything. So I was hooked instantly.
Oh, man, that's cool. That's
and
cool.
Unfortunately for you,
and
all my cousins.
Yeah, I think I'm the reason why he's that great. Like why you're so great. But some moves you did on me, man, I haven't seen done to other people. But you know, it's all right.
One of my closest friends that I grew up with, he just moved down like close by me, and he told me the other day, he's like, no, I think I have back problems from you doing wrestling moves to me when we were kids. I was like, come on, man.
I've heard stories of you having like backyard wrestling matches.
Oh yeah.
On like trampolines and ladders and chairs and tables.
So stupid. I wish I didn't do it. I mean, as much as I loved it, and I would have, you could never talk me out of it.
Yeah.
Knowing like my body now and how much my knees hurt, especially, I can remember doing off the trampolines, like flips and landing on my feet on the ground and thinking like nothing of it, but like your meniscus can only take so much. I mean, this one's gone now, so.
Yeah, you had surgery. You were out for a little bit, right?
I've had 4 surgeries over my wrestling career. I've had 3 on this knee here and then 1 on my ankle, so I've missed some time. But
yeah, you were out for a little bit.
Yeah, I missed like 9 months with this one and like 6 months with the ankle, but
you back to.
But I've been doing it for 13 years, so in the grand
you started in 2008. Okay. You got signed at 12.
And the end of 2013 is when I signed with Ring of Honor.
To Ring of Honor, nice. And how do you like Ring of Honor? Like the company, the whole thing.
I love Ring of Honor. Like I mean, I've been there. I've been signed there for years, but like. There's a thing that you get at Ring of Honor that you don't get anywhere else, and like especially with, I have like a lot of hands-on stuff behind the scenes. You were mentioning the girls matches. I agent a lot of the girls matches and like help them out with it. But like a lot of the creativity that you see in the ring, those are those guys coming up with it. You know what I mean? Ring of Honor kind of gives you the guidelines, and you go out and
the basics, and then you add
and they might tell you the direction they want, but then you're doing your thing after that. Okay. Where other places are like, you're gonna do exactly this. You're gonna put him. You're gonna punch him twice. You know what I mean? It's like
okay.
So for me, and like
you have
especially
a lot of creativity and.
And like what you saw last night, the cage, I mean, that was something that was developed over 2 years, and I don't think that I would have been able to get away with doing that story anywhere else, because it was like there was a lot of steps to it.
Yeah, bro, and, it was insane. Like the first thing he comes out slamming the door in his face. Oh my God, that was insane. I was like, they didn't even say wrestle or anything like that.
No, we're jumping in the
I wrestled in high school, and it's nothing compared to what you guys do. But I wanted to ask you, who are some of your favorite wrestlers that you grew up on, and why are they your favorite wrestlers?
Well, like when I was a kid, like when I first started watching, like the Ultimate Warrior and Macho Man were like the two, because of the colorful outfits, you know, the larger than life personality, you know, you're the Macho Man. You're I
remember you growing up, you had a personality nobody could destroy.
So like, you know, you running around. I remember, God, my poor mom. I destroyed every piece of furniture she ever bought.
Yes,
I destroyed every single one of them. And like, I'd take my shoelaces off and tie them around my arms like I was the Ultimate Warrior. But then I'd tie them too tight and cut the circulation off my arm. And my poor mom's like swearing at me in Spanish, cutting these laces off, telling me how she has to buy new laces and stuff.
Oh man.
I mean, that's how I got into it. But then like, I morphed to like a Bret Hart, Shawn Michaels guy. And Bret will always be my favorite wrestler.
Yeah. And then why is he your favorite?
You know, there was definitely this like weird charisma that he wasn't one of those guys that came out and talked a lot, but he just looked cool. He had like the cool shades and like that pink really popped and stuff. And you know, I have curly hair and he had the long curly hair.
You remind me of an old school wrestler.
You know what I mean? Like it's kind of, you know, I very much not modernize a lot of it, but you know, a lot of it, like it kind of comes from what I grew up watching. You know, like Bret in that leather jacket. Bret in that leather jacket. I have like the leather vest. You know what I mean?
Man, like,
So like it's a lot of stuff like that I just kind of attached myself to as a kid. But I think like I loved Bret Hart because when I started watching wrestling, he was down here on the totem pole, and like I watched him grow up, and I felt like that's my guy. He got all the way to the top.
You felt close to him, right?
I brought him to the top. You know.
If you could wrestle any wrestler, new or old, in their prime, and you're in your prime, who would you wrestle?
You know, it would. I would have to. After saying all that, you kind of expect I would say Bret Hart, but I think my style would go with Shawn Michaels. Shawn Michaels, he's up there for it. And then, you know, Bret and Shawn were so good together, you almost had to pick sides. And
weren't they like brothers or something like that, or they were just really close friends?
No, like so. Owen Hart, Bret Hart's brother, was in there, but you know, Shawn and Bret had that rivalry in WWE forever, and then it, you know, there's a Montreal screw job, and I don't want to get too in depth on that. You know, go over people's heads, but they just had a great feud that you know, people always kind of link them together because they had so many great matches. Nice. But you know, a lot of Shawn Michaels style, more of like a mix of luchador stuff and American style, where it's more high flying and a lot of movement. A lot of my generation grew up on. Yes. I think like I
seen you last night. You were standing on the top of the cage, like in the corner, at the top, bro, and you did some flip shit. Oh my god, bro!
Land on those thumbtacks.
Yes, the thumb. You slammed a girl. What'd you do? You kissed her or something?
No,
oh my god, it was so insane.
She wasn't supposed to be in that cage. She jumped in that cage. Then she wanted to come at me. I had to make a quick decision.
You had to
toss her right over the top. You know?
That was insane, man.
But I mean, you know, props to her. She landed on thumbtacks and rolled around, and oh my god, she was picking them out of her back later.
That's insane, bro.
It was pretty crazy.
Yeah, it was a great show though. Everybody liked it. Everybody loved it. Everybody was just, even Vinny's fans were just like, they were, you know, they were out there screaming, yelling. Everybody was out there having a good time.
That was a great. Philadelphia is always a crazy crowd. Like there's a couple of crowds. I would say like Mexico City, Arena Mexico is one of the craziest. That's one of the craziest shit I've ever seen in my life. And I've been a bad guy there, and they'll throw, they'll throw like full, you know, beers at you. Like I mean, I smell like Tecate after half my matches down there, and so you know. But Philly's always like a bloodthirsty crowd as well, and I've had some bad experiences in Philly. I blew my knee out in Philly one time there, so like I always kind of go into that building like, got some bad vibes in here. But last night, I mean, it was rough, but at least I came out. I mean, I was pulling thumbtacks. You know, I got marks all over my legs. I had thumbtacks I was pulling out all night long. So
oh my god,
it wasn't the best experience, but at least it was much better than having surgery.
You guys did amazing. Everybody loved it. It was such a great show. One time I was watching you on TV. I was in a bar. It was me, Jenny, and my girl. And we're sitting at the bar, and wrestling comes on, and I hear Matt Taven. I look over. Holy shit, Matt's on TV. And I heard one of the announcers say, you did a move there. I forget what it was called, but you did a move, and he said, "Oh, I haven't seen that in a long time. That's an old school move."
Yeah.
And they were giving you props on how you basically, I don't want to say bring back, but you still show like the old school styles, and you get what I'm trying to say?
So I always try to say, like, my favorite wrestlers, like, you know, and then so past Bret Hart and Shawn Michaels, when I started kind of really getting into wrestling and becoming like a wrestling crazy person, like looking up everything that ever happened, I would find out about like the Chris Jerichos of the world, how they went, you know, to Japan and they went to Mexico, and they took all these little pieces and then they made them into their own. So like, my favorite time in wrestling is like 1992 WWF. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I
was only 2 years old. But all right.
So I take like that style, and then I mix it with what I learned in Mexico, and then I mix it with what I learned in Japan or what I learned in England and stuff.
Oh, so you've been to Japan and wrestled?
Oh yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
God. How was that?
Japan's a whole different. Japan's amazing, but like it's a different wrestling. So like, where they're gonna
different rules or
the same concept, but like the fans are so different that it feels very. So like in Mexico, where they'll throw a beer at you, in Japan they have to be polite, so they state that like this. So instead of them being Taven, they just, and then when you do something big, it's oh. So it's very much like a quiet like theater.
Yeah.
And they'll come up for certain things, but you know there'll be people that aren't used to that.
They have like a lot of respect.
Without a doubt.
Yeah.
But you might think, cause like if a crowd's quiet here in America, you're like, oh my God, I suck.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like when a lot of people get freaked out the first time they get over there because they're quiet at first, and you're like, oh God, what did I do? How do I you know, fix this? But I've had some great tours over in Japan. Me and Mike Bennett, we won the New Japan tag titles at one point. And stuff
that's something
there.
I seen last night. A lot of tag team matches were going on last night, and I would say your credentials, right? It say that you're a tag team champ as well, multiple times, right?
Yeah, 3 times I won the 6-man tag titles.
6-man, there was one last night that was insane too, man.
That was a great match.
That was
Shane
really
Taylor
good.
Promotions is really good.
Yes.
And I've won the tag titles in Ring of Honor and New Japan, the regular tag titles. So I've won those twice. You know, I've wrestled a bunch of independents where I've wrestled. But like the thing is that I kind of in one of those weird positions where a lot of people know me for both. You know, I won the world title at Madison Square Garden, which really kind of separated me from like my tag background. But at the same time now, I'm going back into a tag team format, and it feels very natural. So like I almost think of it as like a badge of honor that I can do tag team wrestling, I can do singles wrestling, I can go back and forth and whatever.
How was it wrestling in Madison Square Garden?
The greatest day of my life, you know what I mean? But like the worst day of my life at the same time, because you're so stressed out, because you're like, oh my God, this is Madison Square Garden. Like, I had never been inside Madison Square Garden before, ever.
Okay.
The first time I walk in, they're doing the production run of the show, and they're testing out things. So as soon as I walk in, they just happen to be doing my music, and I walk in and they turn the whole ceiling purple, and like all of a sudden it says Matt Taven up on the screen, and I'm like, I'm here. I'm in Madison Square Garden. Like when I was breaking my parents' furniture, I used to pretend like, and I'm in Madison Square Garden. That's the world champion.
God! You actually like what did they say? Like you
manifested it.
Yes.
And I think I truly believe that, you know,
I think
you
so
have
too,
to.
because like growing up, watching you, bro, like you really had the persona, the attitude, the skills. Like you were always in shape. You were always a star in almost any sport you played. I remember your mom telling me you going to college and getting signed in a band. Like what was that like?
Well, you know, it's so funny because there's been so many different creative outlets. Like I always knew I'd probably not work a normal 9-to-5 job. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like I knew that there was something that I'd always do that was a little bit off, and I was kind of always a little bit of a, oh yeah, is that what I'm supposed to do? Screw that, I'm doing my own thing.
That was. Oh my God, I remember.
So like,
I'll get into some stories later, but
So like in college, you know, after like playing sports and stuff, I always had this creative outlet, and I was always into music, and I started learning piano and keyboard and stuff just for fun.
You sorry to cut you off, but you brought me to a piano shop that was fixing a keyboard that you got from a show that somebody threw.
Yeah, he actually, this guy that I was at his concert, he threw out his keyboard at the end. And it was the same keyboard that I was already using, so I was like, yep, I'll take that. You know, I was in 2 different bands, and
what were the names of the bands?
I was in my high school band was Rookie, which is very wow. There's probably been a million bands called Rookie, and we always like the kids that were in that band together. We always send it to each other if we see like a new one. We're like, hey, look, another Rookie. The band that I'm really proud of was in college. I was in a band called Winslow Gray.
Winslow Gray. What's that name stem from?
That's funny you ask. We used to. So like one of our friends, his uncle owned a place on Cape Cod, and they actually stopped letting us use it because we were having too much fun out there. But we used to go out there and just, you know, have great times as us as like friends, and then we all kind of after high school went our separate ways and stuff. Yeah. And so Winslow Gray Road was kind of the one thing that we always had as like our thing. So we named the band Winslow Gray. That's awesome. It's so like still to this day, like I drive by it and I'm like, Winslow Gray, man, what a crazy time. Yeah. But like that one I had a lot more of my own creative input in and stuff like that. But the thing is, and when you're in a band, and we had a 5-piece band, you have to worry about all 5 guys being on the same page. You know, wanting the same things, wanting to go on tour, wanting to leave behind. Yeah, wanting, like if one of these guys has my focus for my career is over here, and I don't have the time to get to the band, well, that screws all 5 guys' acts up.
Yes, it does.
When you're a wrestler, you worry about yourself. And I think that's why I was able to transition easy into wrestling, because like I always wanted that like entertainment life. And you know,
not having to worry about
and I had no one else to answer to, and I got into wrestling. It was I can take this as far as I want to, because it's only me that's holding me back at this point. So you know, we were in the bands and stuff like that, and like I said, it just wasn't working out as much as like I wanted it more than I think. And I honestly think Winslow Gray could have done something. You know, I don't think we would have been the biggest band in the world, but I think we could have, you know, probably made some money off it. But after college, I started working for the New England Patriots and the New England Revolution. Really? I was working in their front office for, like, right after college, I went and I got hired there. But I just, a 9-to-5 job just did not work for me. Like, going in and being in a cubicle, I was like, I wanted to kick those walls down. You know what I mean? I was like, you know what I mean? I don't mind getting dressed up and looking sharp, but you put me in a little cubicle afterwards. I'm like, break me out of here. You know what I mean? And like, it was cool being part of the games and stuff, but like, being there at
just for the viewers, he and I are from New England, so that's why he worked at...
Yeah. So I went to college in Rhode Island, and I grew up in New Hampshire, and then afterwards I moved right outside of Boston. So I'm a New Englander through and through. Rhode Island, so...
I hear you. So you still live in Boston now?
No, only recently I ended up moving south in December. I finally said, if I never see snow again, that would be A-okay with me, so... I'm a Florida boy now.
There's something about the cold that I love, but then some days it's just a little too much.
If you can look outside and there's sunshine and a palm tree, I'm telling you, it'll change your perspective on things. You're like, cold. I'll never do it again.
I stayed at a $3.8 million mansion in Fort Lauderdale before.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I got to see some stuff. I got to see, oh my God, some crazy mansions out there. $100 million mansions with a Golden Gate and stuff like that.
Well, like the thing is that, like, you know, you pay all this money to go on vacation to these places, and I was like, why don't I just live on these places that I'm like paying to go to? So,
so the heat doesn't get to you?
It's hot.
You miss the cold sometimes?
Not at all. Not at all.
Oh, if your leg, your knees, right?
I can tell when it's gonna rain from my knee. Wow. Like I can tell by just like walking.
I thought that was like an old school myth, but I guess that's...
Nope. The humidity in the air and the atmospheric pressure, I can feel it in my knee when it's gonna rain and stuff like that. It's very strange. But so I was working for the Patriots. Yeah. And one of my buddies that I grew up with, who I was backyard wrestling with, like back in the day, he was doing what we call independent wrestling, which is, you know, not like a big organization. They usually run just like local shows in like high school gyms or whatever. Okay. And I just went to go see, you know, what he was doing, and I was like,
oh, I can do this.
I'm better than everyone. I was like, I'm better than all these guys. And,
I bet.
And it was so funny because I went in there so cocky, and the first time I hit the mat, it knocked the soul out of me, and I was like, holy mo, okay. Oh God, okay. Maybe I'm not as good as I thought.
There's a certain way to get slammed, am I correct?
Without a doubt. So I had a school.
Yeah, that's another thing. I'm sorry to cut you off. You have a school where you train people to wrestle?
Yeah.
Like, so, let's speak about that. What is it called?
So, I had a school in Rhode Island, and now that I moved to Florida, I help out with Jay Lethal's school. My school in Rhode Island was called the Wrestling Kingdom, and so we had it going on for 5 years or so, and.
How many people came out of that gym that actually are wrestling for?
So I mean, Vinny was also one of the trainers. That Vincent was also, and Mike Bennett, the guy that came in at the end. He
your boy, right?
Yeah, my tag partner. He was also one of the trainers, and like we all came out of the same school with Spike.
Shout out
Dudley.
to him. I give him mad respect because he came out. He had your back. I mean,
I felt bad.
Shit was crazy, bro.
I felt bad at the end when he got in the ring because it was like thumbtacks, and he's like in shorts like this.
Yeah, on his knees. I said the same thing. Yeah. Oh my God! I'm like, yo, this guy.
I was like, dude,
he's dedicated.
Relax.
To this. You gotta be dedicated to this. Like, this is no joke. Like, oh my God, it was insane.
But we've had like kids that are really just breaking into the indie scene right now.
That we're at your gym.
Yeah, we're at our school, and like one just had a WWE tryout this past weekend.
Nice.
And there's so many good places in New England for wrestling school, and like we were trained at a place called the Lockup Academy that Spike Dudley from ECW was our trainer, and so like all those guys that came out of there. Like myself, Vinny, Bennett, we all started this other school, but we still had a connection with that one. So like, we passed guys, back and forth, and I always say, like, if you're trained to be a wrestler, train with as many people as possible, because wrestling is like any music or art. Some people think that this sucks, some people think that this is amazing. You know what I mean? So you're gonna get different opinions. You just have to figure out which one fits you the most. So. We were always good with kind of rotating guys around, and like right now, there's a tag team that we were training called the Waves and Curls that I think that they're definitely, they were just on. They're great.
Oh, they're
great, and they were just on AEW not too long ago, and they'll definitely be something eventually.
Nice.
A lot of those kids that we trained are still really young in their early 20s, so they got in. They got in young.
Yeah.
And now they're kind of coming into their own.
Nice.
Where like I didn't start wrestling, until after college, till like 23.
So what age do you think you should, if you're gonna get into wrestling, what age should you start?
If I was to do it all over again,
yes,
I would have still, a lot of people they choose
23 is still young.
It's young, but in the wrestling, so me and Mike Bennett are the same age, right? But he's been wrestling 8 years more than me because he started at like 15, 16. So by the time I started at 23, we're the same age. But this guy's been in the game for 8 years. You know what I mean? I'm almost looking at him like, almost a big brother status, even though we're boys,
Okay.
So if I was to do it again, I would have, while I was in college, been training to wrestle on the side. And knowing in my mind, like, hey, I'm just gonna kind of get my feet wet while I'm in college and then let it take off after college type deal. Because a lot of people decide like, oh, I'm just gonna skip college and do this wrestling thing. And that's not a bad move if you're dedicated to it, but there's a lot of times that it does not work out. So
you went to college for
sports entertainment event management. It's a hospitality major. So like I worked for a record label, or I interned for a record label right after, and then like I said, I worked for the Revolution, the Patriots right after. So it was a sports and entertainment degree that I got.
So
SE.
you were thinking, you
knew
what you
and I
wanted
had a
to
minor in
do.
psychology. Yeah, so I mean, I knew I'd always work in the entertainment center. So you're using that right
now still, like.
Well, and that's kind of where I transitioned to like my second act. I can't wrestle forever, obviously.
That's what I was gonna ask you. What's like the next thing for Matt Taven? I'm assuming that you're taking that business degree and all this knowledge from training people and being in the business, and Ring of Honor looks at you as like their protege, kind of like their, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm a homegrown guy, and I think they take a lot of pride in me.
Yes, and I think to me it looks like they wanna use you and
Yeah,
bringing guys in and train or something like that.
No,
But
without a doubt,
you-
I think that after I'm done wrestling, I would
Yeah.
like to work in the office behind the scenes. I mean, I do, like I said, I
Come
do a
out,
lot
do
of
a
this
little
stuff. You know, you could always be the commissioner or something
Yeah,
like
yeah,
that.
yeah,
But
yeah.
like, I would love to, you know, agent, work behind the scenes.
Yeah.
Even everything from marketing to event planning and stuff like that. That's all part of my background. So like, sometimes I can be a little much there because I'm very much like, you should be doing this, and this is my idea for this. But it's only because like I think I can't. Obviously, I'm gonna have to make a move at some point. I can't be 60 years old again, jumping off the cage like last night. You know what I mean? So I'll have to figure out something. But I'll always want to be in the entertainment business in some shape or form. And so.
So that's what's next for Matt Taven, pretty much.
Well, I got a long career ahead of me. You know, I guess so. I know I'm planning for the future, but if I always kind of wanted to say like, I think I got 10 more years maybe. You know, so maybe 9. you know, I've been wrestling for 13 years, so if I could make it to 20 years, which is only 7, I'd be pretty pumped with that. And right now, you know, after everything ended with Vinny in the cage, it's kind of a lot of stuff is up in the air. You know, I'll be wrestling with Mike Bennett as a team and stuff, and I know we want to get back to what we were doing before. We teamed like 5 years ago before I blew up my ACL, and we were all over the world. You know what I mean? We're in Japan and we were here and there, and it was like the craziest schedule I ever had. So I want to get, hopefully, once this, you know, the pandemic kind of subsides a little bit, we can get back to our normal schedule. And
how was that? Like, how did the pandemic hurt your wrestling?
Oh my God, it sucked.
Like, what exactly? Like, just canceled all shows?
Well,
everything?
It was crazy when we first. So.
Y'all scared to wrestle each other?
Well, you're hearing about it, right?
Yeah, like, when it first comes out.
Yeah, but like no one's really, like nothing really, you're just hearing like, oh, there might be something going on. But we fly out to Vegas in March, and when we land, we all get these emails that say like the shows are canceled, everyone stay in place and stuff. And then like now you're turning on the news and it's like things are shutting down left and right. And I'm like, oh my God, are they gonna cancel my flight? Am I gonna have to drive across country? I'm out in Vegas. Like, is this a zombie apocalypse happening right now? Like, what's going on?
Vegas looks like that.
Well, dude, the strip. No one was on the strip, and I'm walking the strip, and literally, I felt like a zombie movie. Like, I felt like someone was gonna come and fucking eat me, or like any second, because there was no one out there, and I was like, this is weird. But that was strange, and we immediately canceled shows. We're canceled shows for 5 months. A lot of people, you know, just a lot of independents still haven't even come back yet, because it's tough to get certain permits and stuff right now. Certain states are different than others, you know. We actually just moved. We were supposed to be in Florida in 2 weeks for the pay-per-view, and they moved it to Philadelphia because the case is going up in Florida, and just out of, you know, to be safe, they wanted to move it. So we started doing a lot of closed arena, like no fans, empty arena, just doing the TV show. Wow. Which is okay, because, you know, at least we're still wrestling and you can wrestle, but it is not the same.
Not hearing a sound, right? Just hearing slam. Boom, boom.
When you hit that mat and not a person says a word,
not
you're like, you're like,
mean,
maybe I just won't get up.
Because I'm like last night, I noticed that how everybody, like, we all seeing the same thing. So when somebody gets slapped across the chest and you hear that slap, and without that,
it hurts a million
it's like
times
you
more.
guys are just fighting each other for like no reason or something.
Imagine jumping off the top, hitting that mat, and it's just silence. It sucks. You hit the ground, you're
no
like...
No motivation, no
adrenaline, nothing. And so
man.
The empty arena matches, it feels like you got hit by a bus when you go back. Like after last night, I mean, my hands hurt because I got a bunch of thumbtacks stuck in there. But like, and my arms hurt and stuff. But like, my adrenaline was pumping so much that I was like, let's party. Like, you know, I was pumped last night. But man, if there was no crowd there, I would still be in bed right now, just like looking at the ceiling, like my body is on fire. You know, like it's a whole different animal. But we had to do that to survive. You know what I mean? Just to stay out there and keep the television product because obviously we have a TV deal that we have to honor.
Yeah. So you, how many times? Every time you wrestle, you're on TV, or how's that work?
We have a weekly television show, and then we have pay-per-view, obviously, and then we have a streaming service on our own called the Honor Club. So last night's event was an Honor Club event, and so it was like a special pay-per-view just for that, to try to build that streaming service more and give like exclusive stuff for that. So Glory by Honor, which is usually like a pay-per-view, they moved it to just the streaming, and I guess the numbers went up because a lot of people jumped on there just to watch it.
Nice.
Because I mean, it is such a different animal when you have a live crowd that hasn't seen wrestling in what, a year or something. Those people were like ready to
I've seen. There was a lady in there with an infant. I'm not kidding, bro. This lady had an infant in there.
She was
with
ready
her.
to throw her in the crowd.
A 6-month-old baby in her arms with like 2 other kids with her, and they're all yelling and screaming. And I was just like, wow, these people really love wrestling. Like, or they had nothing else to do. But I doubt it was that, man.
No, I mean,
you guys put a hell of a show on last night, man.
Like, Ring of Honor has a very diehard fan base.
Yes,
you know what I mean?
I can kind of see that.
Yeah, like a very diehard fan base. Where like a WWE fan could come and you do it in fads. Oh, I liked it when I was little. Oh, I liked it when Stone Cold was around, and I stopped watching. But like really, like Ring of Honor fans, they stay for life type deal.
Die hard.
Yeah, exactly. Like they're there. And so when last night when I came out, I was shocked at how many faces I recognized.
Oh wow!
I was like, wow, there's a lot of people here that
you've seen from the last time you wrestled in Philly.
From the last time I wrestled in Philly, or from making the trip up from Baltimore. I even like recognize fans that must have flown in because I've seen them in other places and stuff like that. So I mean, there's a very diehard crew.
Yeah, I seen a guy buy a Matt Taven doll.
Yeah.
I mean, a action figure. I don't know what to call it.
You can call it a doll. It's fine. Yeah, it's whatever. It's
but it was just like seeing that. I was like, wow, this is really cool, man.
Yeah.
Like, you know.
It's crazy. I mean,
like that was somebody. I was like, wow, he's a Matt Taven fan. Like I didn't, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, of course.
It was just crazy. I was just amazed. It was awesome.
I think that's one of those things that kind of said to my mom that this was really serious when my action figure came out.
Yeah, because I seen it on social media. You posted it. And I was like, oh my god, it's legit. This is real.
Because she remembers me having action figures as a kid and all day being like,
you had the ring and all that. Yeah, I remember.
So when I had my own action figure, she was like, what? You're getting an action figure? Oh my goodness. And so there's some other cool stuff. Like I used to have like that wrestling buddy, like stuffed animal.
Oh yeah. Oh my god, bro. Isaiah had that for probably I don't know how long. Almost his whole life, and I don't know where my mom put it. But I was still trying to keep this thing. I know it's like I was gonna pass it on to my son.
Yeah.
And I know it's like a collectible type of thing.
It's probally worth some money right now.
That's
People
what I'm saying.
put it on eBay
Like Grandma stitched it up. Oh man, it's amazing. Growing up with you,
I'm getting one of those stuff in. Yeah, that's coming out soon.
Yeah.
So I just saw the prototype of it and it like looks just like me. I'm like, man, that's
so crazy.
That's crazy.
To grow up wanting one and wanting to be a wrestler to actually being a wrestler, bro. How crazy is that to you?
Well, like, you know, my other side of the family, my other cousin, he said he like put it in a way that it kind of made so much sense to me, like, and I don't know, it took me back for a second, because it's such a struggle to make it in wrestling. You make no money at the beginning.
I'm pretty sure,
and you're just grinding, right?
Yeah.
And then one day it breaks, and one day it works out, but it doesn't work out for everyone. So I can remember, like, right when it started breaking, and I started kind of becoming secure and like being able to live, and I remember, you know, my cousin saying something like, hey, you know, just kind of saying congratulations on everything, and I was like, yeah, you know, it took a while. I was eating a lot of tuna fish sandwiches before this day, and he's like, yeah, man, but like you wanted to be a wrestler when you were 6. He's like, I wanted to be an astronaut. I'm never gonna be an astronaut. He's like, you're actually doing the wrestling thing.
Yeah, man.
He's like, I also wanted to be a ninja, and maybe I'll still do that, but so, you know, it's just like one of those things that every once in a while you almost have to tell yourself, like, this is happening.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I can't think of many other things that I've wanted to do. Obviously, I wanted to do music, but wrestling was like the first thing I was like, I want to be a pro wrestler.
I just want to congratulate you and give you your flowers now, because, like I said, I seen it from the beginning, from you growing up and wanting to do this, and you actually doing it and becoming a Ring of Honor world champion. Like, you actually did it, and I just want to congratulate you and let you know that I love you and fucking.
Love you too, bro.
Yeah, just keep going, man. Keep doing your thing.
That's all you can do.
But I know you have a YouTube channel. It's called Travel Taven.
Yeah, I haven't done it as much in the past, especially after the pandemic and stuff. But when I kind of stopped it when I won the world title because
you had a lot more going on.
Insane. You know what I mean? Like, you want to be champion. That's all you want to be. And once you're champion, it's like you never have a second to enjoy it. You know what I mean? You never have a second to be like, I'm champion. I won at Madison Square Garden, and I think like by the time I got home, I had to do an interview right away, and then I had to fly out to Pittsburgh, and then I wrestled the night. You know what I mean? Like, there wasn't a second that I was like, holy moly, I won at Madison Square Garden. Like, not until months later. I think not until after I lost the belt where I was like, all that happened, huh? Holy hell. Like, I can't believe all that stuff happened because it's so go that...
How was it having that belt?
So, I pulled down the belt at Madison Square Garden.
Yes, like that was... Oh my God, I watch the highlights sometimes and I'm just looking around, looking at the crowd like, oh my God, there's so many people there. God.
It was crazy. So, like, I pulled down that belt and... I have it, and I look up at the screen because the screen's on the inside. So the big screen that everyone sees. Yeah. Well, there's monitors on the inside that the guys in the ring can see, so you can see what everyone else is seeing. Okay. So I look up at that monitor just to see what's going on, and there's a giant banner that says Madison Square Garden. And I look up, and there's me holding the world title, and it says Madison Square Garden, and the smile just comes on my face like a big shitty Cheshire cat. And it's the most genuine smile I think I've ever had in my life because it's like, I cannot believe this is happening. You know what I mean? It was just...
It's like a dream.
It feels like, it still feels like a movie.
Yeah. Like I'm telling you, because when I seen it, I thought this was like a movie or something. I'm like, is this
like
really?
My memories of it are more. I think I almost remember it more from watching it and like looking at it that way than being in it because it was so like overwhelming almost that like you almost don't realize it, like I said, until afterwards. But that second of me, smiling, looking at the sign, I'm like, that's probably the happiest I'll ever be, ever. Call it a wrap right there, you know what I mean? Like, there's not much that's gonna top that, but it was nuts.
So where are you wrestling next? Where can the fans and the viewers see you next?
So I'll be back in the ECW arena there in the 2300 arena in 2 weeks for pay-per-view. We're gonna be back there in that same building. So if you want to come out, you're more than welcome to.
I might bring some friends with me.
Yeah, definitely. And then please bring them all down. And then I think I'm going back to Mexico for a week after that.
Nice.
But honestly, the now also, with people being unsure if there's gonna be more lockdowns and stuff, it's really killing us. You only find out about stuff like a month beforehand. Like, I know we're gonna have. They give us dates like, hey, make sure you're free for all this stuff, obviously.
But these are maybes.
But we're not sure where it's gonna be. You know what I mean? Like, we might have to move it around. You know what I mean? Like, we might have to do this or that. We might not have to have a crowd, and you're just kind of rolling with the punches. But man. I mean, if you follow Matt Taven on any social media, Taven, Matt Taven at Facebook, Twitter, the Matt Taven on Instagram. I'm pretty good at keeping up with all my stuff there and posting where I'll be. But I'm doing all the Ring of Honor stuff, and so ROHWrestling.com, you can follow all the Ring of Honor stuff. But hopefully, once things get a little bit more back to normal, I'll start doing more international stuff.
Okay.
Because, I mean, the other thing about Ring of Honor is that it is such a mecca of, like, the best international talent. Like, we have guys from Mexico, guys from Canada, guys from England, guys from Australia. The thing that sucks right now is that we have a lot of good guys in England and Australia that can't come over. So they've been stuck over there for, a year and a half and haven't been able to come and wrestle
out here and wrestle?
Yeah.
So why doesn't Ring of Honor do something out there?
We can't. Just can't do it with all the COVID stuff over there. Their lockdowns are even more strict than us. Wow. So like, it's one of those things that's so start-stop because I think they started doing like independent shows in England again, and then maybe they stopped them. Like it changes
it's
on
crazy.
the day.
And nobody knows what to do anymore. They don't know what's going on.
And it sucks because like wrestling is such a stressful kind of, you know, you're always kind of thinking of the next thing and how do I fix my position? How do I climb up? How do I become champion? Now at the same time, you're like, how do I do all these things? And how do I know what's going to happen next anyway with everything changing? So it's just like very nerve-wracking time, but you just kind of have to roll with it.
All right, well, give everybody your social media sites again and where they can find your merch and all that stuff.
So it's Matt Taven. If you know how to spell Taven, which is very easy, don't put an R in Taven. It pisses me off, all right? Taven. Matt Taven at Facebook, Twitter, The Matt Taven on Instagram, Pro Wrestling Tees /Matt Taven for a shirt like this, but you flip it upside down. It says Matt Taven. It's a sick shirt. And
it is sick.
Shop ROH has all my Matt Taven merchandise on there as well. So.
All right, well, thank you, Matt Taven, for blessing us with your
Always.
presence.
No, thank you for having me.
And thank you, viewers, for watching. Stay tuned for our next interview. I'll be releasing this video whenever I release it. So, but thank you for watching, guys. Later.